Welcome everyone to our initial Fusion tutorial, and I am Mr. O, and today we're going to just run through very quickly how to set up some basic preferences. I do need to make an explicit shout out here. We are going to be using inch format specifically because that's what we use for the class that this tutorial is designed for. It is entirely possible, and I'll show you how to have this set to millimeters or whatever function you want. But I oftentimes get questions online about why I'm using inches. That's because this is for a middle school technology and engineering education class. The project we do is inch-based, that's why we're doing that. But you can choose to use whatever you want. So very quickly, this is just to demonstrate how to set up a few quick preferences to kind of make usability better and so that it matches what I am teaching. You can, of course, fuss with them at your own leisure as you're messing with this. So once we are set up in Fusion, the very first thing that we're going to do is move up here to the very top right-hand corner. And in yours, you very well may have a little white circle with your initials in it, or it may have an avatar or a blank avatar. You're going to click on that, and this little menu will appear. You're going to choose Preferences. When the Preferences menu opens up, there's just two things that we ourselves need to change. And the very first thing we're going to do is move to the left side column, come down about halfway and choose Unit and Value Display. Just click on that one. You don't need to open the drop down. And we're going to change General Precision. Now in yours, it very likely says 0.123. We want to make sure that we get to the 10,000ths place because we're using inches. So we're going to select 0.1234. Everything else that is in here is okay for us for what we're doing. You can change the display if you like to. We don't necessarily need to right this second. As soon as that is selected, we're going to go back and we're going to go to where it says Default Units. And if I click the drop down arrow over here on the left, we're going to specifically choose Design. And I'm going to make sure that my default units is set to inches. Yours may or may not be selected as millimeters. That's kind of the default. We're going to choose inch, so change it to inch or IN. And then from there, just click Apply and click OK. So that's going to set our basic preferences. And incidentally, those preferences are saved into your cloud account. So whatever version of Fusion you open on whatever workstation or computer, those will follow you. Once we've completed that, we're going to move down here to the bottom. We have a bunch of navigation icons. We are only concerned about grid and snaps. And incidentally, if you're not sure what a tool or a function is, just hover for a moment and you'll notice it pops up with grid and snaps. And also, if you move to the icons at the top of the screen, if you hover and wait, it'll actually give you an explanation of what that tool does. That will help you later on. So down here at the bottom of our graph paper or isometric grid, we are going to hover over grid and snaps, click on it, and we need to uncheck snap to grid. So we want to turn off snap to grid, and we want to turn off incremental move. We don't need those at the moment. Just turn them off and click outside. That will disappear. The other thing we want to do is we need to go up here to document settings, and we're just going to double check and change this if we need to. So document settings is part of our browser, and this browser will grow as your drawing grows. And there's a ridiculous amount of information in there and also things that you can turn on and off depending what your requirements are. So where document settings is, it has a little gear icon, and next to it is a little drop down arrow. You're going to drop it down and it will say units. Your units should be set to inches. If they're not, move over here. When you hover, you'll see a little notepad and a pencil. Click on it. You'll get a change active units menu. It usually pops over here on the right side of your screen. And you can change it to whatever you want. Now in our cases for the tutorials, if you're following along, we want it set to inch. Many of you, it might be set to millimeter. I do need to point out, once you've set it, you can click OK. Mine's already there, so I just hit cancel. For the tutorial's sake, if you fail to change this from millimeters to inch, my tutorials will still work, but the keychain you create at the end will be 25 times smaller, or technically 25.4 times smaller than it's supposed to be. So double check, triple check that this is set to inches. Once you've completed that, a few other things that we're going to do. We want to save a file. Now you can use a shortcut for this. There's other ways to do this, but typically in class we'll say go Command S or Control S if you're on a Windows computer. And we're going to get a save window. For students, yours will typically wind up in default project. Okay, so that's what your location will be, and that's just fine. And I would like you to use your last name. So I'm going to type a generic one. All right, last name and then an underscore, and then we'll put keychain. So last name underscore keychain. You'll use your last name. All right. Once you have that, you may click save. And if everything works well, you should see it pop up right up here in the top tab. Okay, that's how we know that it worked. We're currently in version 1. All right. This will change as it saves. And then we've got that. The other thing we want to do is we want to go up here to our create tab. So these icons that fly across the top of your screen, the ones you use the most are usually in the top left. So if you're not sure what you need, start out in the top left and kind of see if the one that you need will work. We want to select the create button. So click create. And then the very first one in that menu is new component. Choose new component. And I recommend that you change the name of this simply because Fusion will name this component 1, component 2, and so forth sequentially. If you're a lot of components into a part or whatever you're doing, you're not going to remember component 457. So name them appropriately. So we're just going to call this keychain and then click OK. And if I pay attention over here inside of my main thing, I've got keychain. That's my new component. All right. So that's going to get us set up with what we need at the moment. If you jump to the next tutorial, I'll talk through some of the navigation icons and things that you're going to use, and then we'll get started.